welcome also. Today's topic is all about the eligibility criteria for the compliance officer and principal officer role in the IFSC jurisdiction, that is GIFT City Gandhinagar. So in this video, I'll cover the mandatory requirement of PO and CO basis on the majority type of entities registered in the IFSC jurisdiction. Second, their eligibility criteria. Third, whether CS fresher is eligible to appoint to get himself appointed in the IFSC jurisdiction. Fourth, with a special relaxation provided to LLB graduate. So be in the video until the end. So let's start. First, I'll cover the highest number of registered IFSC entities. That type of entity is fund management entities. So there are highest registered FMEs in the IFSC jurisdiction. Requirement for the registered FME, there is mandatory requirement of principal officer and compliance officer. There is one more requirement of the KMP in case that that is the type of registered FME in the retail part. But we will not cover that part. We will only cover the PO and CO requirement. So about the education qualification, if the person is having the professional qualification like CA, CS, CMA, or if he is having the membership of any equivalent type of institute in the foreign jurisdiction, then that person will be considered as a professional qualified person. Or if the person is having post-graduation degree or post-graduation diploma degree, the diploma course must have minimum 1 year duration in finance or accounts or law or business management or commerce, economics, or any such areas which are prescribed under the regulation. So I'll give the reference of the regulation in the last part of the video, and I'll also mention the link in the description box. Okay, so this about the education qualification for the PO and CO role for FME. Now talking about the experience part. So if the person is having the professional qualification, that is he is a CA, CS or CMA, then the experience requirement is for the compliance officer is at least 3 years in the listed company compliances or in the risk management area, or if the company is not listed company but the company which is regulated by any financial regulator. Financial regulator, that means RBI, SEBI, IRDAI or PFRDA, etc. Then such person can be appointed as a compliance officer in the FME. Okay, so this is the experience requirement for the compliance officer. Now if the person is not having this not fulfilling this first criteria and he has qualification from any of this part, then the experience requirement is at least 5 years. So this requirement is for both the compliance officer and principal officer, at least 5 years in securities market or in financial products like portfolio management service, financial management, investment advisor, fund management, business, etc. Okay, so these are the requirement. If this is not fulfilled and this is the education, then at least 5 years of experience in any of this area. Okay, now one more relaxation provided for the law graduate is even the person is not having the post-graduation qualification, neither it's having professional qualification, but but the person has done the bachelor in law course, then he is eligible for getting himself appointed as a compliance officer with minimum experience of at least 3 years. So this is special relaxation provided to law graduate. Okay, this was all about the CO and PO eligibility criteria in the fund management entity. Okay, one more point for the principal officer role. The graduation can also be, a graduate person is also eligible for appointing himself in the principal officer role if he has at least 15 years of experience in the activities related to fund management or the portfolio management services or any similar type of activities. So this is one more relaxation provided for the principal officer role. Next, for the finance company. So in the finance company, there is no mandatory requirement for principal officer, but compliance officer is mandatory to be appointed as per the regulations requirement. Okay, there is no specific criteria, eligibility criteria are prescribed for the CO role in the finance regulations. The definition which they have provided in the regulation is compliance officer means a member of the senior management. That means as per the hierarchy of the organization, he is part of the senior management and he is directly reporting to the board of directors. Then that person can be appointed as a compliance officer. So in this case, finance company case, even the CS fresher can try to apply in the finance company for the CEO role, since there are no eligibility criteria are described in the finance company, and further no qualification criteria are described. So this was about the finance company. Now coming to next, CMI, that is capital market intermediary, which covers the broker, dealer, clearing member, custodian, depository participant, investment advisor, etc. So CMI regulations, as per CMI regulations, there is mandatory requirement for principal officer and compliance officer both. Education qualification are same as per the FME regulation. These are the requirement: professional qualification or post graduation degree. For the compliance officer role, there is again relaxation for the LLB graduate. Then the experience requirement, the requirement is at least 2 years in financial service market. So they have only mentioned this words. There is no much clarification or detailed description about the experience part. They have simply mentioned at least 2 years of experience in the financial service market. Okay, so this was about the compliance officer experience. About the principal officer role, the experience requirement is at least 3 years in financial service market. Education qualification will be same like the fund management entity, and special relaxation for the law graduate for the compliance officer role. Okay, so this was about the CMI. Now all this requirement, that means all the CO and PO must be based in the gift city only. I'm giving just example. If the parent entity wants to open a branch in the form of say FME in IFSC jurisdiction, then that entity cannot appoint any employee of the parent entity which are based out of IFSC as the compliance officer or principal officer. That person must be appointed in the IFSC jurisdiction only, and that person must have to work from the physical office in the IFSC jurisdiction, that is in gift city office only. So this was just for the clarity purpose. Now last reference part for the fund management entity, regulation 7 of IFSC FMA regulations prescribes the requirement for this POCO requirement, and one more clarification or guidelines are published by the IFSC for ascertaining the KMP eligibility. So it gives detailed idea about how to calculate the experience, which entities can be covered as from the perspective of experience counting. So you can refer this guidelines. I'll mention the link in the description box. For the finance company, guidelines on corporate governance and disclosure requirement for finance company. Point number 7 gives the requirement for this compliance officer appointment requirement. And for the CMI, regulation 9 of IFSC, CMI regulation prescribes the requirement of PO and CO. So this was all about the basic idea about requirement of principal officer and compliance officer eligibility. So if you still have any query about this topic or any other topic, you can simply write in the comment section.